Well, last time we beat up Melquiades, and this is probably like the only story mandatory piece of this, and we've already seen this. It's the masks, the three masks to get the elevator to Crescenta.
Right.
The ever brilliant gold masks, or are we done talking to that guy?
Um, I think so. Yes.
Oh, okay. Just for this playthrough. As today we are settling affairs, you said?
Yes.
I see everything from the highest point of the dried tree in which the miracle has reincarnated me.
Oh.
That was a little more intimidating in Spanish, I will say.
Well, if you take a look at the top right corner of the screen here, I did some off-screen grinding, just a tad.
Maybe a little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
You're going to be crowned the Pope of Custodia after tithing that much.
This congregation. One woeful day he broke his vows and left upon hearing the news that a miracle had occurred. We never heard from him again. Please give him this. It will mean a lot to him.
While you're out and about, grocery shopping and all that.
So it's only at this point that I realized I actually kind of did this in the wrong order. This is something you're expected to give Cleophas after we help him with Sakuro. Cleophas is the monk who was next to Sakuro. Or excuse me, Sakuro.
Oh, boy.
I feel like as long as you don't say football, then you've pronounced it correctly. I did see the comments about that on YouTube, and I have to say, I appreciate the corrections on our pronunciation. We're still not going to get it right, because this is all Andalusian Spanish.
Yeah.
So I'm putting in a specific amount here to get the last two rewards that we can get from church tithing.
And oh boy, have you been tithing from the looks of things.
I mean, at least this isn't vanity. You're giving it to a good cause. You know,
We think.
turning the statues pearlescent.
So here's the thing: the actual reward, the final reward that would carry over to another playthrough, I would only need to put in 10,000 extra, but we need another 50,000 to unlock that extra costume, the Alms for Oblivion.
Oh.
So 50,000 overall to get everything that would carry over to New Game Plus, and another 50,000 for the costume, which you can play or you can equip it on any playthrough.
I can't believe you. I was just talking about how you weren't vain. You probably think this game is about you.
All right. So this is the Cloistered Ruby. It works kind of similarly to the Cloistered Sapphire, but it's not as good, or at least it's easier to activate, but it's not as good. So each time you use a bile flask, it gives you a set number of charges that kind of they work in the same way as the Cloistered Sapphire, except instead of instantly killing everything, it only does the equivalent to your damage. But it's also much easier to trigger.
Oh.
Because you don't need to do an execution for it.
Wait, if it's inferior, then why is it such a difficult reward to achieve that costs so many?
I absolutely
tears?
agree with you on that. I definitely agree. I kind of think that the Cloistered Ruby and Cloistered Sapphire should have switched places. Because if you remember, we just kind of found the Sapphire lying on the ground up near the convent of the Lady of our Charred Visage.
Huh. You know, you're right. That I don't know if they had something like that planned in development or what, but it is fascinating how those two rewards are almost reversed in strength.
Yeah, the Ruby and Sapphire were both DLC items. I think they came out with the first major DLC pack, Strife and Ruin.
That might explain it then. They figured, like, people who bought the DLC will want to get an item from it that's strong early on, that'll last them a while. And
Yeah.
like, later on, you get a slightly inferior version of it, but then you can have two.
Yeah, so that's the Cloistered Ruby in action. There is ammo. You get 6 shots with it.
When do you unlock the assault rifle?
That's in New Game Plus 26.
I was gonna say, that's like a Resident Evil game. Yeah, so you're gonna need to spend 990,000 pesetas, but you know, we're in rural Spain. They're gonna drop from every enemy by now. The way those things just melt into a pile of blood is very appropriate for what they are, the weird, horrifying-looking dog creature.
Yep.
Because some enemies just explode into skulls and giblets, you know, realistic entrails. That thing just melts it back into goop. Chthonic
Another
goop.
collectible I haven't really mentioned that much is the Children of Moonlight. There is a quest giver. Here he is.
Oh.
You have found some of my brothers. Though, I still ask you to find the rest of them. Please, keep this canvas made from the gold of our faces, and my brothers will guide you.
We're here, we're queer, we're steer. Happy Pride Month, everybody. Oh my god! I take no pride in this!
Yeah.
Whoa!
This looks like something that you would ask for a commission for a queer 18+ Twitter user.
On a sleeping canvas.
Within you, there are 2 wolves,
I was born of the moon,
and a baby.
to the brave bull.
I haven't seen that movie, but I heard it's good.
By the grace
Yeah.
of high wills, my holy brethren.
Never knew Ted Danson could howl.
So 2 videos ago, I made a big deal out of an item that lets you fall into bottomless pits safely. It's actually this item that does that, the linen of gold thread. The one I thought was earlier, that was the bead of gold thread. I think that lets you use prayers faster.
Can I say that this is a much more appropriate, I suppose, grandiose location for you to find it?
Yeah.
Because that sure was out of
That
left
was something,
field.
yeah.
That felt like how you finish a level in an Earthworm Jim game and then a cow appears on screen and says, groovy. And it's like, what the fuck just happened? Hey,
another
I
puzzle.
remember this room.
Yeah,
You
this
have
is
a
a puzzle
pair of these
room.
now.
Yeah, so here's the weird thing. If we go into our beads, we have the red and blue beads of wax equipped, and hey, that changes the portraits. And that thing in the middle is also telling us to do a bit of self-sacrifice for some fervor.
Hey!
And that's how you solve the puzzle.
Hey, yo, it's a
Castlevania.
door.
What is our reward? Statue of a man with a glorious mustache? That's the only thing I can make out of that sprite.
Yeah, this is basically a glory kill heart.
Whoa!
The trade-off being, your bile vessels aren't as effective, but you also get a certain amount of health back for every kill.
Ooh.
Kind of cool that there's a sword core for every playstyle, because we've been doing those even when it doesn't benefit us, just because they're cool and fun to do. But it's cool there's an item that makes them benefit you.
So now that we actually have the no bottomless pits item, let's try it out.
Whee! Oh.
Yep, and if we had tried to make that jump before, that would have been an instant kill. But we can keep going.
Whee!
You're pretty spring-heeled, Jack.
You
Can I
got those
say that-
aperture science boots.
Can I say that the actual spring heels preventing you from taking fall damage here are a little comical? A little bit.
Well, they do allow for some very, very interesting shortcuts, which we will see later, and I hope to take advantage of those a lot in playthrough number 3 as well.
Can I say that you demonstrated it in probably the best area in the game to do so? Be like, all right, check this out. If
Yeah.
you were wondering how far we can fall, it's forever. To the bottom of Yggdrasil, the world tree. Or the world elevator.
So this is Morning in Havoc. It is the DLC area that I kind of showed off a little bit in last video. It is far and away the hardest area in the game, and unfortunately, it's not hard in the well-balanced, thought-out, and fun way.
I was gonna say, you mentioned it being terrifically dangerous. I assume you didn't mean terrific in terms of, oh, it's just a wonderful time. Head over to medieval times and hope that the Green Knight wins. Kind of terrific.
I presume this is why you did some grinding off screen.
Now the grinding was mainly just for there are some side quests later on where we have to use a lot of tears. So none of the enemies in Morning and Havoc have names because this was a DLC area, and the Game Kitchen did not update. Did not update the art book.
That's okay. I think we can kind of infer them.
That enemy is also a pretty blatant reskin of the Phalaris, which we saw in the Mountains of the Endless Dusk.
Yeah, it's the Blue Laris.
The other enemies are more or less new. This electricity is probably the worst part of an already bad area. There are some jumps that are specifically designed so that you cannot get through them without taking damage unless you take a specific alternate, very out-of-the-way path.
Cool, you can at least still parry the anchors. Although,
Oof.
Yeah, this does seem a little... The odds seem a little stacked against you here.
Yeah, that's another disadvantage of the Lorkiana. Despite its high damage rate and almost screen clearing, at least horizontally, there are no invincibility frames at all when you use it.
But I do like the way that it bounced right off your head when you were healing.
That was, I think, the Pelican Effigy I had equipped there, which is more or less essential if you're going through this area.
Yes, indeed. That type of strategy where you make yourself invulnerable as long as possible. Oh my god!
Yeah, that is what I was talking about with the electricity. You have to go up and around in order to avoid any damage from that. And, okay, well, I guess I immediately contradicted myself there, but the window for that is very, very tight. You're just going to have to trust me on that.
Here's the thing, right?
Yeah.
I understand there being only one correct path, but it would be nice if that one correct path were a little better signposted, because that implied that you could make it. But in fact, it is a farce. You cannot.
Fooled you.
You know what this has to be a reference to? Clearly, it's a reference to Donkey Kong Country.
Oh!
Oh, yeah, I was thinking of some obscure joke involving the Ocarina of Time only emulator Ship of Harkinian, only to remember that that emulator came out like a year or two after this game, I think.
When did this DLC come out, though? Was it a year or two after?
This was, I mean, I think it came out with around 2020 or 21, thereabouts. Because this area also, it's also mandatory for playthrough number 3. There's actually a boss in here, brand new boss that we'll have to beat later on. But once there are specific items that we get later on, it does make this area a bit easier, but only a bit.
It just looks like there's very little wiggle room, very little room for error in your platforming, where you can stand, the timing.
Very stiff hits, yeah.
Yeah, this is another defense when bile flasks run empty. I think there's like 2 or 3 others that work the same way, and they stack.
Pretty sure that's an old Gods of Asgard song, Light of the Lady of the Lamp or something.
It was one of their unused draft titles.
Yeah. They were tripped out on all that Viking booze, same as the enemies in here. Can I say that this area not having enemy names or really an explanation is kind of tripping me out a little bit, because usually you spring to action the moment we walk in talking about the ancient historical inspiration behind this laser triforce here. But there is none?
I mean, Spain had a navy. And so presumably they have ship graveyards.
Hey,
that's
there
the
you
closest
go.
it gets.
That looks like the ship mast. How they'd have like a masthead.
Yeah,
that's a real thing that exists. But
and it kills you instantly, just like anything else. Actually, it's not an instant kill, but this is me not realizing I should have had the Debla equipped instead of the Lorkiana.
It might as well be an instant kill.
Yeah, this is soaking you for like a third of your health every time you get hit.
Yeah, and I do have several defensive rosaries equipped as well.
Good lord.
What more
I
could you
cannot
do?
imagine what it must be like going through this on like a fresh new game, with only a couple of beads on you.
What more could you do?
Avoid it, because again, this area is completely optional unless you're going for the best post DLC ending.
Hence why we're doing it in our second playthrough?
Yeah, I'm doing it now just to show off a somewhat hard version of this, with certain prayers. As I mentioned before, I mean, there's nothing you can really do with electricity, but it does significantly decrease the risk of enemies, at least.
Fascinating how you can come here at basically any time you can reach it physically in the game world. It's one of the first things really we talked about, right? How you can end up going to the mountain first.
Yeah.
Or you can end up going here and not knowing it's the super hard DLC area and being like, why the hell is this so tough?
Yeah.
Oh,
Hey
I can't
kids, do you feel
imagine.
like getting your giblets rocked? Come on down to boats.
Oh man, stem to stern, my friend. They will ream you.
There are also no pregias at all in this section up until the very end of the area.
That's rough.
Oh yeah.
Rough waters. Why did they do this? I have to ask. Did they mean for it to be very hard?
I think the idea was to discourage, first-time players coming here, because this is a requirement going through this area for the third ending.
But there's not really anything plot-wise or story characters to deter you from coming here, I guess. So the only way to keep you from going further is to be oppressively difficult on your ass. Huh.
And as I mentioned before, this is also a this is part of a junction point where the other one is the entrance for the crossover DLC. So it is kind of out of the way if you don't really plan on exploring that much.
Look out, it's one of Dr. Robotnik's nefarious traps. Okay, you definitely avoided it. This wasn't one of the ones that it looked like you could climb, but you magically couldn't. This area I'm not gonna say is very sloppy, because it still looks like it has quite a bit of polish. But it looks like all that polish was put towards making it very, very difficult. And this is not a shinobi game. This is Blasphemous. They didn't need to do that.
I will say the reward you get at the end is actually more or less worth it.
Oh, I believe it. But what I'll say is that this is funny because it's not really how this game's been designed so far. So far you've had pretty open choice in how you approach situations.
Don't you love how the hurt box for the electrical burst starts when it spawns in, which is like several frames before it even appears? Isn't that amazing game design?
No.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, man.
Oh, no.
You okay, hang on a minute. They have to be trolling with this. You had to walk back across a previous screen and be able to get knocked back down like you got knocked out of a UFC fight. Hold on. It's like you're trying to climb the cage with the briefcase and you just got knocked back down. This is ridiculous. I love it and hate it.
It is definitely an extreme version of making an area absurdly difficult and to the point of being unfair for the sake of narrative immersion.
I suppose indeed. If you're on your third playthrough and
by the way, there's nothing over here. I just did that. Yeah, I just did that to make sure that the entire map was filled out.
It was worth the return trip. Thank you. I feel the satisfaction now every time we're going to look at the map screen moving forward. Yeah, look at that nice complete corner.
Sometimes the map completion is the friends we made along the way.
Exactly. We're not going to be doing full map completion on any of these runs, mostly because, I mean, the crossover DLC has map squares of its own that adds, extra percentage. But I did get the achievement at some point for getting 100% of the game. And this was before, I think it only counts like the vanilla stuff, because at the point that I got the 100% achievement, I had not finished the Amanecidas quest. or the crossover DLC, because of course I'm saving that for later. So I'm guessing by 100% it means 100% of the stuff that was in the original game.
Why the hell is there an achievement for revealing 100% of the map squares? It's like it only exists to irritate you.
That's not what I said though. It's just for collecting all of the items that were in the game in vanilla. You don't have to clear up the map screen for that.
I'm glad. Because look at all the map squares we just skipped by taking that boat ride.
They were all behind the black anyway.
Well, how long do you think that boat ride really was? We didn't even have to pay a fare or anything. That was a fascinating little screen transition.
Well, we're about to get the reward for going through all of that hellish platforming and fighting. It is absolutely worth it.
A toe.
This is the Mirabas of the Return to Port. It is basically the homeward bone from Dark Souls.
Whoa. You can just
which in this game is
exfiltrate.
extremely useful.
That seems invaluable, especially for stuff like, I don't know, grinding and, I don't know, going to find secrets that require you to jump down pits. There might not be a quick way back up.
Yep,
And,
exactly.
Oh boy, I can think of all kinds of uses for it. Huh.
Not walking back out of the ship graveyard.
Mm-hmm.
Right, yeah, and there are no pre-dos in this area, huh?
There was one like just before we crossed the boat.
Seems like a pretty good use case for the item, because this area seems like a bit of a sunk cost fallacy.
Hey! So the invincibility when fighting
Not even
that
a pity
other
laugh.
enemy.
You're not even a pity laugh. Come on.
I'm not giving a pity laugh because that was a good joke. It deserved more than a pity laugh.
I'm the sunk cost phallus now, I guess.
I don't know if I can make that part of the thumbnail or the title, but
just censor it. Just censor the boat that we took and let the viewers use their imagination. Wow, that area seemed like hell. We're gonna have to go back through there later?
It's gonna be mostly off screen. I'm gonna have to go through it.
With your contribution, the work of this brotherhood carries on.
Those tears of atonement came from me. For you having to do that.
Yeah.
The Mirabas is, I guess it's a kind of, it is a kind of flamenco. I wasn't able to find out that much about it. But it does seem to be of the happier variety as opposed to the Debla, which is not. And now that we have done all of the church tithing, we can expedite our guilt for free.
Wait, that's your ultimate reward?
Yeah, it's really useful. Depending on your
really
playstyle.
actually were basically promoted to Pope. Congrats.
We're like the Pope's assistant or something.
Yeah, you're like the bishop chess piece now. The chess piece will be your hat.
That will recover your spilled blood.
We are getting towards the end of this side quest.
I feel tired. Please, leave me alone.
That doesn't sound fishy.
It doesn't really sound like we've done much to help assuage the situation in the slightest. If anything, we've made it worse.
Nascimiento's face chest is going to be infected if he keeps picking at it. I think that's what's going to happen to him.
Well, it's like your mother always says, if you keep making that face, it's going to get stuck that way.
Yeah. So this particular instance of the Custodian of the Stained Glass, only that one, along with like maybe 2 or 3 other enemies in the game, are consistently glitched, where it seems to be either impossible or just more difficult than usual to get an execution on them. There's one of the first flagellants in Where Olive Trees Wither. It works the same way, or rather fails to work, I suppose.
Huh. Wild. I wonder if that's something to do with, again, a developer choice or not. I got no clue.
It's very obviously a glitch. Like, there are no other enemies in the game that work that way. They're not unique enemies at all. It's just something about those particular enemies. It's just the code is not working with them.
Speaking of particular enemies, this is a very familiar situation, but it looks like these fellas have changed their clothes a little bit.
Well, there are two different versions of the Hopper. The ones with blue robes. Yeah, the ones with blue robes, they jump higher and they have slightly more health.
Yeah, see, they've been obliterated. Excuse me. They've been obliterated by the sensor quickly enough that I have not had time to notice the difference.
They're being obliterated by censorship faster than the BBC has. No, wait, other way around. It's the BBC doing the censorship, not them. That joke sounded better in my head.
I can't comment on it. I only know about Canadian television, unfortunately. And bad reality television.
Yeah, that enemy is also, I think, another instance of just one enemy, but the collision on executions just doesn't work on them.
Works well on that guy, though.
Yep, sure does.
The animation for the Homeward Miracle is pretty cool.
This is one of the few maps where if you do specific things correctly, you can actually keep the Cloistered Sapphire effect through the whole map. That's not what you're supposed to do, by the way. Don't do that. I would say stay on the ground if you want to keep the Sapphire effect through the whole thing. If you attempt to fire upwards or jump up here, usually it won't work properly.
All right, well, if I ever play this game in that specific way, I suppose I will keep that in mind. Yeah. The fascinating thing about this game, I suppose, is that there are a million billion different ways you can approach it. Like the good old Dark Souls Red Tearstone Ring kind of a playthrough.
Yeah, so in addition to using this elevator to get us to Chrysanta, this is also where most of the combat takes place to help Sakuro. Because we had to find certain things for her in order to free her from her endless torment. Unfortunately, I really don't like these enemies. They're reskins of Esdras, and they seem to have special armor and invincibility to some attacks at some times and not at others.
Yeah, Esdras Jr. over here is basically a pale imitation of the original.
Yeah, this is more like Esdras' third cousin twice removed.
I think he's just a sloppier fighter because he's got those tiny little slits in the mask. You could probably barely see out of that thing. He's like, did I get him?
I still haven't figured it out, but he is invulnerable during some of his animation, and it's never really made clear. Like, I think it is when he stops to attack. Like, when he's running at you with that little Alucard run he has there, it's not great. I think he's invincible during most of that.
Yeah, there are times when it does the little plonk, and sometimes you get plonk. Oh, no. Man.
Anyway, several attempts later, I found that the Zarabanda is actually quite useful against this the Esdras' third cousin twice removed.
That's the thing is, like, he's a real... Oh, crap.
He's a real pain in the Esdras.
See, I forgot the metaphor I was going to use, but you came up with a better one, actually.
Although,
I don't know. I think he's a dead ringer for the original, either way. You were supposed to kill him when I said that. I didn't think this was going to turn out to be the hardest fight in the fucking game.
Don't worry, I'll splice it in so that it lines up.
No, absolutely do not. You should, because I'm gonna have to come up with an alternate joke, for when you finish this 15-minute sub-boss. It is kind of like a Castlevania game. How you end up fighting this false death or whatever before the real death.
You know what's also an alternate joke? This enemy to Esdras.
Yeah! Brought it on home! Oh, yeah.
So this is, we have to get the 3 marks of the refuge and turn them over to Sakuro.
And that requires fighting Esdras's?
It requires these extra fights.
Okay.
There's also some other stuff in here that's partially related. Thankfully, nothing that doesn't carry over. on our next playthrough, so I can avoid this area entirely in the third playthrough.
Are those always here? Or do they only spawn if you talk to Soccer Girl and her manservant?
Please, it's called football. We're in Spain.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, if we were in, like, the Philippines, I think they call it soccer there.
Someone in the chat's gonna, excuse me, in the comments rather, is gonna say, it's football.
No, this is the chat. We're streaming all of this live. I thought I told you already.
Yeah, of course. Sorry, that's just me getting immersed in this green fart gas, also known as Twitter poisoning. Just imagine an invisible chat room everywhere I go called the High Wills.
Well, this actually is... Well, first of all, we have to go through this area because the level above us won't be able to get through there. But there's also this door, which it took me far too long to realize how to actually get through here. For some reason, I thought I had to I had to I don't know, go through this and then turn off the three gnarled tongues and then latch on. But you can see it if you look there very closely. You can see that the solution was actually there all along.
Oh.
Look, you see them? You see the red pixels?
I do. Oh,
I completely missed that I had to use the blood piss here.
Whip it out like your Sam Porter Bridges.
Even he would refuse to deliver this, I think.
Oh, I was talking about the blood piss.
Which is possible to do in Death Stranding.
Deep pains.
Blood piss is a mechanic.
Speaking of deep pains.
We're getting pretty powered up here.
Yep. And we're gonna have to recollect all of those upgrades again on playthrough number 3. But it's worth having it's worth having them for here at least.
This is the longest Let's Play of Blasphemous anyone's ever done. It's the most thorough thing ever. You're not gonna need to play the game after watching this Let's Play because this is the experience of it in entire. A first playthrough where you do like some of the side quests, and then a second playthrough where you actually know how to play the game.
It really is a shame that it seems like no one else has tried to do a more informative Let's Play of this game until now. There's been several blind Let's Plays when it first came out, but that's about it. Also, hey, Gabriel, excuse me.
The mirror sarcophagus draws near. The five
Pull out the stock footage like we're playing Metal Gear.
Whenever he was paraded in public, when he still lived in that divine prison of pain and piety, supported on and rooted in a tree between sobs and cracks.
Yeah, like imagine an Easter parade where the still alive Jesus Christ is being paraded while he's crucified. Like he hasn't died yet.
That would inspire some pretty awesome black metal album covers.
Far and wide.
True.
Oh, we're looking at one.
Know that the Father was being swayed again. Do you want
so the Amanecidas were a power that existed on their own alongside the miracle.
Amanecida has already awoken.
This room is also very important if you do the alternate side quest, or the alternate version of the Sakuro side quest where you kill her.
I see. Will we be seeing that? Or
yeah, we'll be seeing that. We'll be seeing that in playthrough number 3. There's actually the specific achievement that I talked about earlier, where you have to get 2 characters into the same room, is specific to Cleophas, the monk next to Sakuro, and Redento. They can appear in the same room at the same time, but you kind of have to manipulate their side quest stories in specific ways and arrange their meeting.
Very interesting. And so So all those morals that you have only apply to playthrough 2 then. Playthrough 3, you're perfectly fine with going back to fucking it all up.
Yes, because the best ending overrides it all.
You know what? That's fair enough. I mean, for a video game, that's fair enough. See, because this is a video game that has a narrative beginning, middle, and end, an Odyssey-style hero's journey of sorts, we can safely rest knowing that the good end is the goodest for everyone involved.
Yeah, let's go with that, sure.
There are all those alternate universes where they did have all of their hopes and dreams fulfilled that you didn't do.
Yeah, well, the as you can see, the gimmick of this area is making sure that you stay on the ground.
Just gonna move past it.
Yeah, and then forcing you against enemies who will, who basically force you to jump to dodge their attacks. You could probably guess which enemies will appear, just based on what we've seen so far.
Well, they all seem to be from the general area of where you are, which I really like. It's been kind of that way for others as well, where the enemies have kind of been focused around the challenges that the area preceding it expects out of you. Dodging the sensors and climbing the walls, all that shit. Learning to swing up.
Learning to swing up while staying down.
Learning to swing up while... while the penitent one swings at the papal prick.
And, of course, it could only have ended this way. Except it doesn't. This is actually the penultimate wave, if I remember correctly.
Toro! This is... You're not supposed to trade with them. You're supposed to cinematically dodge them like you're jumping over a Ferrari or something.
I do kind of wish they could run into each other, but...
Oh, I wish, if only they had an animation for getting knocked on their asses. If only they apologized to each other with a little nod. Well, that's a pretty good way to avoid all the incoming damage.
You made a bullfighting reference earlier. That is actually the quest giver, not the cherub, but the bull in the painting. His name is Hosinero, which literally means black snout, which is also the name of a famous bull who killed the legendary matador Pepete in 1862. Again, apologies for the butchered pronunciation.
That is incredible trivia and also incredible on the part of the bull. Anytime the bull wins, I feel a little point of pride for nature. It's dignity regained. I don't know. I was never a fan of bullfighting, which is why I make jokes about it, because I find the sport ridiculous.
While we're on the subject of bullfighting, actually the hub town that we're in, Albaro, that is also the name of a very specific type of dark yellow sand used inside the bullfighting ring. I don't know why it's that particular sand, but that is traditionally, it's Albaro that is used.
But I can picture it based on just a descriptor of the yellow sand and the image of the Matador Arena. Fascinating. It's fascinating how that stuff has become kind of engraved in multiple cultures. Even those like, the most milquetoast American, my own, so utterly far removed from any of its inspiration. I've seen it in Looney Tunes. And yet in the real world, people actually did do this for honor, for sport, and for dignity at one time. Not just for themselves, but also the bull.
If I remember correctly, I think that the major changes to bullfighting, whether it is abolishing it or making it less cruel, were very recent, like within the last 10 years.
Just, it's a developing way for human beings to become flattened by the animal kingdom. There aren't that many elephants to go out and get stampeded on anymore. And if you did, soccer girl over here would feel the pain of all of it.
Well, we got our first refuge. Might as well hand it over.
A tear has rolled off her cheek. Could it be that her torment has diminished? Ah, poor lady.
That didn't do anything. She's still suffering miserably.
Well, I mean, this is a video game. There's 3 of these things.
We were just talking about that, weren't we? The hero's journey has multiple stages. I can't get too excited, I suppose. And I can't expect anyone to be freed from their torment in this world.
And hey, check this out. New move. We're gonna turn our blood boomerang into an actual boomerang.
Oh!
Ooh!
Oh, the Castlevania cross, baby.
Yeah, and this is
Good
actually
stuff.
not yet the final form of our blood boomerang. There is one more upgrade.
See, I'm with Roy's enthusiastic woo on that one. Every time we unlock a new main mechanic, I'm like, oh man, there are so many things that used to be a pain that no longer will.
Enthusiastic Woo was my least favorite boss fight from Sleeping Dogs.
That is my favorite move to ask my partner to do in The Sims, though. Some enthusiastic woo.
Hey, such joyous alliance. My protection does not cease here. Will you require my assistance with your next?
Yeah, so Viridiana is currently in her Sophia Loren phase. And then once we've used her again, it's going to be, I don't know, Bette Midler.
All right, I'm down for that. I'm down for this. I hope that in the 3rd playthrough, Betty White makes an appearance.
Also, I completely forgot that we fight Exposito in this video. I thought it was next video.
Oh yeah. This horrible thing again. How does Viridiana help you out with this thing?
She gives you health refills when you need them. Same thing that she does with all the other enemies. I did find out recently though that there is a limit. I think she can refill your health up to 5 times. And I mean, you have to be down past a specific threshold, and the health refill takes time as well. So it's not quite as broken as it seems.
Yeah, I was talking about Contra. This seems like
oh yeah,
a
this
boss
does
fight
look like
directly out of it.
It really does.
Yeah, like the Contra for the Genesis.
Just the most fascinating, weird Mode 7 1000 sprite moving at
I didn't even get the
specific
chance to heal
rotations.
you. You mean I wasted 35 years of my life for this? Fuck off, better than one.
Wait a minute. You didn't even need her help on that one. Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe she just wanted to come along.
She just wanted to see the miracle of life, I guess.
She's here for the memes.
Just for the memes. Yeah, sure. After this, she's going to be posting all over her Instagram about how, like, she and her grandson, the penitent one, spent a great day out visiting the great-grandchild.
It's a good thing someone these days respects their elders.
Who, I ask? Who among us does not? Well, I guess the penitent one doesn't. He doesn't respect his elders or his youngers. Well, he doesn't. That's the thing that I think makes him almost unique in this world, is that you do have the ability to, quote-unquote, screw up side quests.
I recently saw Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, which, as far as like Hollywood blockbusters go, is probably the most fuck you grandpa, I'm doing my own thing movie.
And it's still successful too,
Yeah.
which is great.
Like this is a direct quote at one point. This is the law, but the law is wrong.
Nice. I mean, well, that's not.
That's
nice.
definitely not nice.
No.
Can I say that what that got you wasn't very nice in this specific situation, but I appreciate the sentiment and think it applies. I feel like there are quite a bit of ways that you could apply that to this video game. I also appreciate that film and it took film a little while to catch up to video games. I think we could probably thank like setbacks from the Hays Code for that type of shit, but film is starting to become as progressive as video games. So, hooray!
Not progressive enough to give VFX teams reasonable hours, but hey, one thing at a time. Well, we'll get there eventually.
Well, that's where I think that indie films are going to rise to the top of the cream, like a nice sea graph. Brew, please don't annihilate me in the comments for not knowing how to pronounce German beer names. My point, I suppose, is that I think independent movies are going to rise like independent games did.
Yeah. So while I got some downtime here, I kept meaning to bring up the Lorkiana, which is the name for the horizontal laser prayer. That is not actually a type of flamenco, but it is named after Federico Garcia Lorca, a Spanish poet and playwright, one of the most important European authors of the 20th century. And he was, despite being mainly known for his poetry and his plays, was also deeply influenced by flamenco, and actually wrote an essay called El Cante Hondo in 1922 all about it.
I like that even when it's not the name of a flamenco, it's related to flamenco.
Yep.
I wonder if when that guy was writing these poems that would become music, do you think he was like, listen, someday this will be represented in text form referentially by a playable medium?
I'm sure those were his exact words.
I just wonder that. I legitimately wonder that. You act like I'm ridiculous for wondering that, but I really do wonder.
Oh, no.
Back
No.
then they thought, will someday you be able to play Guitar Hero of my music?
Okay, so you can see there, there were some points during the run animation where I was using the Cloistered Ruby and it just went right through him and there's no feedback. I mean,
fuck this guy.
It's
Fuck
also
him and
possible
his
that
run
it's glitched
animation.
and it's just not showing the feedback while he's being dealt damage. But honestly, either one could be acceptable.
Yeah.
You were talking about slop. This is sloppy.
Yeah, thankfully, I mean, you never have to come across this enemy type if you don't want to. Although there's one other instance coming up which is particularly funny, just in terms of where it's placed and how you could deal with it. And I think it's in this video.
But really, I think this is happening because of the playstyle that you chose at the beginning of the run. You specifically chose the, I want to do magic and not sword. And you're now fighting a guy who can only really be damaged by your sword at a very specific interval. So this dude is essentially your nadir, the fulcrum of your playthrough, where it switches over from strength to weakness. This, my friend, is where you prove yourself with your wimpy baby gnarled blade.
I don't know how many times he's gonna no-sell that boomerang.
Yeah. Get out of here, you mother fulcrum.
Hey, very good. I don't know. I find it awesome in a way how this game has very specific segments that will give someone more trouble. Like right there, you hit him with it. Right there, you got him there.
Yeah, it's because he was in his wind-up for his electric attack.
There we go.
But there are very specific segments that will be so tough for your playstyle.
Yeah, thankfully the playstyle that I've chosen for the third playthrough, I mean it's punishing in completely different ways. But I will say, having started, planning out my route for that and getting some practice runs in, it feels really weird to actually be able to do meaningful sword damage again.
It's been interesting. I love the way a guilt stone just appeared in the room for no reason.
Oh, that's the death marker. It is what would be in a Souls game. That would be where you would retrieve all your souls, but instead it's there to get rid of the guilt in your fervor bar.
Yeah, and what makes one of those appear?
What made it appear is that I hit the dissolve of my video editor, and change takes fast forwarding by about 20 minutes.
Now that was a clever response. Very good. You'd make a good politician, my friend. Again, different areas are strengths and weaknesses based on your run. Any area that's had multiple platforms with enemies that are above you, you just annihilate them with your laser beam, with your giant health bar of magic, or your giant magic health bar, or whatever. You're sacrificing health for magic all the time and always doing it. but on the next playthrough, those rooms will give you trouble again.
That particular bone we picked up was from Kea the Butcher, who loved violence and bloodshed so much that he could not be corrupted or politically swayed in any way because it didn't matter to him as long as he just got to kill people. Like, that's a weird type of incorruptibility, which I guess I can respect.
That's one to pause and go back and read. That's real good. I like that. That's, I suppose, almost like a Knights Templar kind of a point of view. I am a paladin. I am incorruptible. Hence why I'm covered in the gore of my enemies.
It is like the equivalent of that SpongeBob "I fucking love war" meme.
You're gonna have to link me that one because I don't remember that scene in the show.
It may have been edited, in hindsight, but
I don't think it was. I don't think it was.
The lunette is a crescent-shaped carpal bone found within the hand. Lots of hands and feet, primarily.
I mean, it makes sense. Those would be the most worn down parts of these poor people because they would be crawling on their hands and knees in penitence all the time.
True.
Here's something we have the linen of gold thread. We're actually going to place the elevator here because you notice there's a middle floor that the elevator just kind of zipped past. You weren't able to get to. However, once you have the linen of gold thread, you could jump down into that middle section and there's new content there.
Oh, clever, clever. I like that this is asking you to think about where to jump and not just saying, all right, now go back to every bottomless pit.
Yeah.
Nope. Sometimes you got to set it up for yourself. I like that. Where's it go? Oh, more crumbling ruins.
We're going to be fighting another Esdras in here.
Oh my god, and he can ring out you. That's perfectly appropriate for his weapon, to ring you out.
This guy's not even a blood relative. He joined by marriage.
Wait, we're assuming all these guys are related to Esdras? Okay. Maybe this guy played college ball.
Now, if we hadn't had the linen equipped, that would have been instant death. But because we had it equipped, we were able to just, jump down to the lower layer. There is one very funny thing about the AI of these junior Esdrases, which I don't remember if I show it off here or not. I think at some point I insisted on trying to beat this guy fair and square, even though there is absolutely no reason to. He doesn't drop any items. You could run right past him, but I think I just wanted to do it.
What is the... Wait. What? What do you do to him? What do you do to the man? Do you just beat the shit out of him?
Yeah.
Is it just a more advanced way to beat the shit out of him?
Yeah, there's absolutely no reason to do it, but I did it.
Oh, okay, well, you know what? Congratulations! It was worth it, actually, because that was really embarrassing what he did to you earlier. I feel like he deserved that.
For some reason, I thought there was a hidden achievement maybe for killing him, but
Here's the thing. We did kill Esdras, and we are now killing every member of his extended family. Because do you want more of these jerks running around in Blasphemous too? I don't.
Now, I would like to introduce you to the most broken prayer in the entire game. This is the delete enemies prayer.
Wait, what?
So, this instantly kills all regular enemies on screen, with some exceptions, mostly being like the Amargura or the Lionheart, basically like the bigger sort of mini-boss enemies. But everyone else instantly kills them when they're on screen.
Is there any sort of limitation to this?
There is, in that it takes a while to actually kick in after you cast the prayer. I think I'm going to show it off here. That there is a wind-up of sorts.
Well, enjoy your Cyclopean roar. You worked really hard for it, fighting that optional enemy.
Yeah, as you can see, it takes time, and enemies are deleted one at a time. So, I mean, it's not quite as broken as it could be, but it's still pretty overpowered.
Yeah.
I mean, that's quite the reward for having fought all of the Esdrases, is that you could just kind of, anything that's not a mini-boss will just kind of poof out of the video game. what? Again, was there any limit on you finding this? Could you have just found this on your first playthrough? Wandered across it?
It does require 3 gnarled tongues. You could say that the when we went into that room, we had to wait for the tree branch to slowly make its way over. But other than that, I mean, as long as you could reach there, you can't get it until after Esdras, the beating of the first time. But I mean, it does carry over to New Game Plus as well.
Man, this is a great game, just letting you have powerful tools like that. Because again, every player is going to find a different combination of them. And like that might save your playthrough if you're having trouble.
Yeah.
With, all those arenas of standard enemies that lock you in.
Yeah, and that prayer is called the Kanze Hondo. I've mentioned that a couple of times. It's also another type of flamenco. That's the same root from which Hondo comes from.
I just can't believe that this game has a motif connected together so thoroughly. It's impressive.
I can't believe it's not whatever the Spanish word for butter is.
That. You almost nailed it.
Could it be that her torment has diminished?
I'm feeling the hurt from the incomplete joke, because I also don't know. What if it's just margarine and we're all idiots?
Good news, Sakuro. We found the other 2 marks of refuge.
I like how you have to use them individually, like in Resident Evil.
I thought that Cleophas had extra dialogue, but nope. He does hear, though, once you've completed it.
Oh. Well, bye.
3 penitents that communed with the miracle clamored for her refuge and protection. Those souls for which she suffered have already departed to the other side of the dream. Has the holy commandment of my lady finished?
Thank you for yeeting her into the dream space.
She really did get yoked with force.
Okay, we need to establish this now. What is the past tense participle verb conjugation of yeet? Is it yoked or yeeted? Sound off in the comments and in the thread. I'll be keeping track. This is now an official poll. If I knew how
That's
to
what you're
polls.
ending the video on? After we just accomplished one of the quests that you said was the most somber and melancholy in the whole game.
That's basically
what we're doing. The great hereafter by ending the Esdras line, and you're like, comment, and subscribe, everyone. Peace.
That's basically what this entire Let's Play is. We are dampening the somberness of this extremely bleak and depressing game with our own terrible jokes.
I mean, it's not that bleak and depressing. It's really just a long string of violent unboxing videos.
Now that's a joke to end the video on.